Hello, I'm Yang Liu. In recent years, fiscal deficits has emerged as a significant new challenge for Hong Kong. What causes these large deficits? One might blame the economic slowdown. In fact, government fiscal balances can be classified into cyclical and structural balances. Cyclical balances are driven by economic cycles. During a recession, government revenue falls while spending on government stimulus rises, creating fiscal deficits. However, the more significant variation is the structural balances, less tied to economic cycles. Structural deficits remain elevated from 2020 to 2025. In the variance decomposition, structural balances account for 80%, the majority of the total balance fluctuations. Can we rely on an economic boom to resolve its fiscal deficits? From our previous analysis, probably not. However, cyclical isn't necessarily easy or temporary, while structural isn't inherently difficult or permanent. The government can hardly change economic cycles, yet they can address structural deficits by scaling back specific policies. What are the sources of these significant structural deficits? On the revenue side, land income is a major revenue source. The cooling real estate markets lead to decreased stamp duties and land premium, which largely account for the revenue decline. On the expenditure side, there are three factors. First, non-recurrent expenditures related to COVID, like consumption vouchers and anti-epidemic fund, are dominating. Second, recurrent expenditures have steadily increased. Lastly, there has been a recent boost in infrastructure spending. What should we do? There are a few options. First, we can work hard to lower the deficit. Second, we can utilize reserves to absorb these deficits. And third, we can issue debt. For the first option, the government has been doing fiscal consolidation in various areas, and rightfully so. They should continue with these efforts. However, the goal is not always to maintain zero deficit or achieve a surplus. In situations such as unexpected pandemic or long-term opportunities like the development of our northern metropolis, running deficits can actually be beneficial. For the second option, Hong Kong has accumulated substantial fiscal reserves over the years, among the highest globally. The government doesn't need to aim for continuous accumulation of reserves. Economic theory suggests it's more efficient for private agents, citizens, than the government to hold the wealth, as it helps to lower transaction costs, information, and agency costs. This concept also aligns with the traditional Chinese philosophy of storing wealth among the people. The recent decline in reserves is not a cause for concern. Rather, it can be seen as an example of efficient utilization of fiscal resources. For the third option, issuing debt can alleviate short-term fiscal pressure and provide a stable source of funding for long-term projects. The optimal debt need not be zero. A debt level of 30% of GDP during normal period, rising to 50% during recessions, or 4 to 10% during booms, may be considered healthy and sustainable. The debt servicing costs for Hong Kong government are relatively low, even lower than the US Treasury bonds. The government should make full use of the government bond program's capacity. This approach could also provide safe assets, enhance market liquidity, promote capital market development, and the internationalization of the RMB. If managed carefully, it will not compromise the long-term fiscal sustainability. If you want to know more about Hong Kong's fiscal situation, please join our HKU IQ Power Lunch.